So a lot has happened in the latest episode of Tensura, and I gotta say, Rimuru is making these money moves, and no one is batting an eye. Like, oh, he makes it under the guise of, hey, we're being friendly, we're cool, and he truthfully is, but a lot of his decisions have lasting weight here. And in any normal circumstances, I can understand why other nations are having meetings, sitting around like, dang, this slime dude over here, we gotta watch out for him because he's doing this, that, and the other. What is happening to our economy? If you didn't notice, there was a lot of talking in this episode, but it actually didn't feel like it was a painfully slow episode. It actually felt like there was some progress happening as it steadily keeps going along this season. Regardless, before we get started, make sure you guys like the video, make sure you guys are subscribed, because we'll definitely go over this and other anime on the channel. We gotta sit back and discuss all these money moves that Rimuru is doing here. First things first, we gotta talk about our other demon lord, I guess you could say. This girl, Ramiris, which I'm probably crucifying that. We've seen her last season as well as this season. Even though she is supposedly one of the oldest demon lords, definitely doesn't act like it, as she says she was been a broke demon lord, now is able to work for Rimuru for what, 2 gold, which in our amount of money probably is a lot, but in about to be not a lot for Rimuru with all these moves he's doing. Do you not understand, which really struck me? He is making it to where, of course, she's wanting to move the Tempest, and he's getting plans together, be like, hey, let's make a labyrinth under the arena. And it's like, okay, cool. Do you not realize that he is employing another demon lord to pretty much live with him, which gives him even more protection and will be an even more of an asset if somebody else, big bad, tries to come and be like, hey, I want to destroy Tempest. He already has, like, let's just not even count himself. And let's not even count all the people under him. Occasionally we got Milim that will come over and play and visit and, do her own thing. So she's also a demon lord. And then we have Ramiris here, who is a demon lord, which will actually be there more often because Milim has her own nation, especially after what happened last season, has a lot more people to deal with under her, and she's kind of growing herself. But we got a fairy girl here. I like to call her like the fairy demon lord, but it's anyway. One of the powers she had stated she has is she can move objects, not like living things, that are within her domain in the labyrinth. So that's why Rimuru was like, wait a minute, we can get people to live down there. And she's able to just move things around, move houses. Like essentially like use some game in like Sim or RimWorld, just build and move stuff around wherever she wants. It's like, that's a pretty interesting power, which is probably why she likes labyrinths so much. I just think the idea that Rimuru came up with, like, of course, she's trying to build some little shelter on the side of the road that probably opens up to a whole nother labyrinth, which makes no sense at all. But Rimuru's like, I have an idea. And finds a way to use her skills to attract more money-making moves. In this case, adventurers to go into a dungeon, which we all know adventurers love to go into dungeons and go in and find things and attack things. So now it's up to Rimuru to pretty much just fill the dungeon with monsters, which is probably why in the theme song we were discussing last week, Veldora is probably going to be like the final boss or a boss in there, and that will allow him to kind of get out those and process those extra magicals and, give a challenge to those that are trying their best. Hey guys, come to our dungeon where you too can meet the Storm Dragon Veldora as the final boss. Like, it literally just writes itself for advertising. And people are gonna come in there. And also think about, if you're gonna have adventurers trying to go into this labyrinth, that's another line of defense if ever you were to get attacked. So this not only makes money for Rimuru, but this is actually a good idea for the defensive features of Tempest itself. So more mad props to him. Mad props to him as he is really getting this money and bankroll and getting all these plans together. If anything else, this season has really shown that, you know, Rimuru's like, all right, we're gonna develop Tempest. Like right now, Tempest already is, you know, a really nice town slash, you could say, kind of city. But Rimuru's like, we're going to make this into a big bustling metropolis. We're going to have this Colosseum like it's freaking Italy. And we're going to have people coming in here. And that's going to be entertainment. But now we're going to have this labyrinth for everyday occasions, not just regular occasions like these events. So mad props to Rimuru and all these plans he's got going on. So the majority of this episode's time was taken up by this girl here, El Messia, the emperor of pretty much the elf nation, which, if you remember the girl that is in the little party with two guys, and we're thinking they're adventurers, but come to find out she was the one that gave the information to Rimuru and told everyone where she's from, her true identity, and told him about the fact that there's a chance for him to become a demon lord. And that's how he became a demon lord and was able to save all of his friends. Of course, this all being last season. We learn more about El Messia and her personality. And we learn that she's actually pretty shrewd, but she also kind of comes off as whimsical, I think, where she keeps messing with the elf girl's father, who is actually an underling of hers. We did see him actually go to Tempest last season as he went there and enjoyed, as we saw a flashback, some of Mr. Yoshida's confectionery sweets, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But now that we've learned more about her and how she's the leader of like the elven area, it's actually important because Rimuru is doing all these changes, all these things. And if nothing else, this season is opening us up more to the world of everything outside of Tempest. Like if you think about the different previous seasons, it was more all about Tempest and what's going on, of course, as it's developing. But now that Rimuru is becoming a demon lord, the economy of Tempest is growing, we start to see all these other nations that are like, huh, all right, we see what you're doing over there, Tempest. Okay, should we be allies? Should we deem you as a threat? Even Gazel, who is a actual ally, his round table at the beginning of the episode was like, we need to worry. What are we gonna do about him? He's getting more powerful. He's actually stronger than you now, Gazel. Oh no. Everyone is really on edge as far as what should we do, which is something that you really do have to address here, because as your main character gets stronger and is making his nation stronger, you can't just ignore the fact that other nations are sitting there like, oh, we're just gonna sit back and just let you do everything, right? No, they're sitting there like, dang, what are they doing? How is it going to affect our economy? This girl actually talks about how this girl was actually talking about the road system, which that was something that they discussed, of course, last season, and it's just kind of swept it. I was like, okay, that's done and dealt with. But she comes back to it and was like, yeah, you should have said something about this road system, or at least try to say like, hey, we'll help in creating the road system. And as she says, so that in the future, because we've applied resources to this system, we could be like, hey, we can address fees and things that may be an issue or may have some profit a little to us in some way in the future. And instead you're like, oh, you're gonna make the roads? Okay, go ahead. And so we see the shrewd side of her, even though this is like the first time that we're actually learning about her and what makes her really a good emperor for this nation, which, you know, she is on a theme song a few times, and so she's definitely going to be at this festival, and it'll be interesting to see how she interacts with Rimuru, because if she's, you know, playing around and toying with her subjects, if you will, and her assistant, there's no doubt that when she and Rimuru sit down, she's going to try to poke at the bear, I guess you say, and kind of make jokes with Rimuru, which everyone does, until Rimuru has to get serious, of course. But overall, I think she's a very interesting character, and I actually look forward to seeing how she interacts with stuff in the future. More than likely, I say, unless something happens, she's going to end up being like, hey, I'm of this elven nation. Oh, you're a demon lord now. Okay, let's, have our official be friendly treaty, if you will. And oh, I like the sweets that are happening that, of course, Mr. Yoshida is coming to their place, so she's going to try to get sweets. So we'll see if she actually ends up being, I think she's going to overall be kind of like a minor Emperor character. Kind of how Gazel only shows up nowadays every now and then, when we saw a lot of him more in like the first season. But now, he's kind of splattered around. We'll see. But overall, I think it was good to actually address the Elven Nation as to see what Tempest and their nation can be coexist and be friendly, because I'm sure it's going to be important more in the future. Finally, I gotta really address Mr. Yoshida's confectionery stuff. This guy is bringing treaties together and bringing the world around and closer than ever before, that I kind of feel bad that he wasn't introduced to us until like last week or so, because it seems like this guy has been a lasting effect, or we've seen effects in the show way earlier, but we only learn about him more so last week. So his sweets apparently are just so important. Like, here we are previously last season, that this was a recreation of one of his sweets, which, they didn't really kind of address or talk about him that much. But now, when Yoshida is sitting there, who has pretty much been getting offers from all ends of the world to be like, hey, you need to come to our place, you need to do this, that, and the other. As he said last week, he's like, nah, I'm good where we're at in the town. But now that he's finally going to be going to Tempest, like, that's just another asset that's going to Tempest. It's going to make the economy of Tempest even stronger. And apparently, like, as we've seen with the elf girl, we've seen with other people enjoying his food, that his sweets are so strong that it's having a lasting effect on the world itself. Now, granted, he is an otherworlder. These otherworlders, dang it. I mean, it's just so smart to bring ideas from the real world here. And I mean, this guy, I assume in the real world, he was like some type of chef of some sort. And then he's just coming around. It's like, yeah, I'm going to bring these recipes to this fantasy world. And he's like super popular. Everyone wants him. He can literally, if he wanted to, make crazy amounts of money that people keep throwing at him. But he's like, nah, I'm just gonna keep doing my trade, keep doing my sweets, and make it as a hub to the whole world. But now he's moving to Tempest, which Tempest is moving to be the hub of the world. And everyone is like, nah, we can't have that happen. We got the villains, the Rosa family trying to stop that. We have all these people trying to stop it. But it's episodes like these that kind of show us why they're trying to stop it, because Rimuru's sitting here playing 3D chess to everyone's checkers. Like, oh, you know what? How about you move here? Or how about you, oh, you want to stay with us? Okay, let's go here. And then it's literally just these game pieces are being moved around, and everyone is like, oh, Rimuru, you're just so friendly. Sure, we'll let this happen. Oh, we'll have it happen. When in normal situations, imagine if Rimuru was evil. Imagine if Rimuru was, I don't know, manipulated everyone in not in a friendly mood or manner that he currently does. He would be a threat. He will literally be a threat. But because he's being so nice and friendly and the MC, everything's so cool that he's making road systems and progressing literally this fantasy world several stages in the future, I guess you could say, as in technology-wise, with culture, economy, all kinds of stuff. But it's just perfectly fine because he's just such a nice person and has all these cool people at his side. But yeah, if Rimuru was evil, or if this show was in some way showcasing how evil he is, like everyone would be up in arms, like, oh man, we gotta kill this guy. Which is why some of the villains in the show are like not happy that he's making all these moves. And which is probably why Yuki is like this. Like Yuki is probably, I would imagine, like the overlord of the anime. It's like, man, I want to rule the world. Well, we kind of have a problem trying to rule the world when Rimuru's over here making money moves that is disrupting your plans. So that's probably why, which I'm looking forward to in the future episode when Yuki comes to the festival, how he's going to act to things, or how, if it's going to show what he actually acts versus what he truly thinks. And next episode is going to talk about the Labyrinth and Veldora. And I want to see if they're going to do what I thought, where they'll have Veldora as like the main boss and then advertise it, and then have adventurers be coming in and be like, oh man, I want to fight Veldora. That would be so cool. And that would definitely bring in the big bucks. Like, it's just Veldora is just a walking advertising. Just don't say that Veldora is that guy over there making the food in the stand. Anyway, that's going to be it here. Hope you guys enjoy the analysis, and make sure you guys are subscribed, because we'll definitely discuss this anime and several others here in the future. And sorry if this episode was just a little late. I was out of town, but we're back, and Lord willing, we'll be back in action. Be safe, take care, and Lord willing, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Make sure to check out the extra content on our Patreon page, and thanks to our current patrons.
This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.